Hiring a management company does not automatically make your condo association or HOA run better. I know that sounds counterintuitive or even flat out wrong. A management company is supposed to be the safe choice, the responsible adult in the room. But the boards that come to us in the worst shape, most of them had a management company, sometimes for years. The problems and the chaos didn't get fixed, it just got outsourced. And the day that contract ended, the chaos, it just comes right back home with nothing to show for all the money that was spent. So before your board signs a management company or renews one, I want you to look at what's actually broken in your community, because it's almost never the thing you think it is. I'm Joe Braun, the founder of Solium, software built specifically for HOA and condo associations. Solium is tailored for board-run communities, not firms running 200 communities. You, the volunteer board running a real community on nights and weekends. Here's the argument I'm gonna make over the next few minutes, and I'm gonna show you how it works. Every single reason a board hires a management company typically comes down to 4 broken systems. Admin work that eats your volunteers alive, a reserve fund no one can actually see into, tools built for the wrong kind of user, and critical knowledge trapped in one person's head. Fix those 4, and the 5th mistake, believing you have to hand your community to an outside company to feel safe, it solves itself. Let's take them in order. Mistake number 1, you're treating data entry like it's governance or management. Watch a volunteer board member quit and ask them why. It's almost never the internal politics, though sometimes it is. It's usually the Tuesday nights, the 45 minutes of chasing the same 3 homeowners for late dues. Again, resending that meeting notice, logging a violation by hand, and making a note in your calendar to follow up in 2 weeks, which nobody ever does because it's somehow logged between soccer practice and your favorite book club. That's not running a community. That's unpaid clerical work. And it's completely automatable. Good self-management software does this work for you. Dues reminders go out on schedule, late fees apply themselves the way your governing documents already spell out. No spreadsheets, no awkward emails. The same homeowner questions that you've answered 40 times, things like, where do I find the bylaws? Or what's the pool rules? Is my balance current? Those get handled by Solium Assistant, which reads your actual governing documents and answers in plain English, day or night without pinging the board members. Architectural review and maintenance requests stop living in a shared spreadsheet that 3 people edit and nobody trusts. They come in through the portal, get logged, and follow a track that everyone can see. The board stops being a data entry department and goes back to the only job the board should actually have: making decisions, capital planning, community standards, vendor relationships. Here's the trap though. Every HOA software demo will tell you that it automates nearly everything. Almost none of those automate the specific things that actually burn out a small volunteer board. Watch for that, we'll come back to it. Mistake number 2, and this is the one that literally destroys communities. You can't see your reserve fund needs coming. Quick clarity first, because people mix up these 2 things constantly. Your operating fund is the money for this year. That's your landscaping or insurance, the water bill. Your reserve fund is something completely different. It's the long-range savings account for the big stuff that wears out on schedule. Roofs, elevators, private roads, pool equipment, every one of those has a lifespan and a replacement cost. A reserve study does the math for all of it. Here's what each component costs. Here's roughly when it's gonna die. Here's what you need to set aside every year so that the money is actually there when that day comes. But here's how boards die. A roof comes due. A replacement is, say, $240,000, but your account only has $38,000 in it. The board didn't ignore the roof. They just never had a system that showed them the math went sideways 10 years ago, back when it was still fixable with a small monthly adjustment, instead of a special assessment that splits the community down the middle. This is the part that I care about the most because it's what we built Solium around. Most software will store your reserve study as a PDF and call it a feature. That's just a filing cabinet. Storing a reserve study is not the same as managing a reserve fund. What you actually need is a system that protects your funding forward and tells you in plain language where you stand. We use the percent funded method scale, and it's quite simple. 100% funded is excellent. You're fully on track. 70% is healthy. Drop under 50 and you've got a real funding gap forming. Under 30 and you're in crisis territory, and most boards that are there don't even know it yet. That number isn't there to scare you. It's there so that you can fix the math while it's still a rounding error instead of a catastrophe. A management company is not going to be following that nearly as close as you would hope. The right software puts it on your dashboard every time you log in. Mistake number 3, you bought software that was built for somebody else. It was built for a totally different industry. There's an entire category of HOA software designed for professional management companies, firms running 200 properties with full-time staff. It's genuinely very powerful, but it's also completely wrong for a 50-unit condo association with 3 volunteers who have day jobs. When you buy enterprise tools for volunteer boards, the complexity doesn't make you more capable, it makes you slower. It's 50 features you'll never touch, sitting between you and the thing you actually do. Or the other side of the spectrum is a thrown together software that doesn't actually contain what you need it to. There's a plethora of software out there that's built by some kid who discovered how to code using AI, but it's missing the core features you really need. So here's a real checklist. A self-managed board needs accounting with bank reconciliation, automated dues and late fee calculation, an AI assistant that answers compliance questions, violation tracking that holds up under pressure, a clean way to communicate with homeowners, and the one most tools never even address, reserve tracking with forward projections. You need to have that. That's the core. What you do not need is a full sales CRM, a fancy landing page website builder, a maintenance dispatch network built for 50 property portfolios, or pricing that charges you per unit and then upcharges you for the features you really need, like you're a management company doing it all yourself. The differentiator was never the length of the features list. It's one question. Was this built assuming you have 15 minutes a week, not 15 hours? Mistake number 4, your whole operation lives in one person's head. This is a double-edged sword because on the one hand, kudos to the board member who cares enough to take this all on. But on the other side of that is what happens when he or she leaves. Picture this, it's your treasurer, 6 years into the role. They know the bank logins, they know every vendor contract, they have the full history of every dispute on the property, the reason the last special assessment happened. Let's just say that next month they're selling their unit and moving away. What does your handoff look like? For most self-managed boards, the honest answer is, we don't really know. There is no handoff, process in place. It's their personal email, a spreadsheet on their home laptop, a drawer of paper somewhere. That is not a system, as much as you'd like to think it is. That's institutional knowledge with an expiration date, and the date is whenever that person decides to get tired or frustrated or moves out. The fix is software that owns the record instead of a person owning it. Every transaction, every contract, every violation, every board decision in one place that belongs to the community, not to whoever happens to be holding the binder that year. When this new treasurer steps in, they don't start from zero, they open a complete organized history and they're functional in days, not months. The question almost no board asks when they're evaluating software, was this built to survive the people using it? Because the turnover isn't a risk, it's a certainty. It happens all the time. Which brings us to mistake number 5. And this is the big one, the one that ties this whole thing together. and that's believing a management company fixes any of the 4 problems we just walked through. It doesn't. Let me be fair though, because I'm not here to tell you that a management company is useless. A good one handles things that software genuinely can't. On-the-site coordination, vendor phone calls, the physical presence when something floods at 2 o'clock in the morning. If your community needs hands on the ground, that's real and you should actually pay for it. But understand exactly what you're buying and what it costs. Management fees vary a lot, but as a rule of thumb, you're looking somewhere in the range of 8 to 15% of your annual assessments. And smaller communities, it usually ends up on the higher end because of a fixed minimum. On a community collecting, say, $120,000 a year, that's roughly $10,000 to $18,000 every year just going to the management company. Even if the base contract says less, I can assure you there are additional costs buried in what they call administrative fees. Solium costs a fraction of that, a flat annual subscription, not a percentage of your budget, not per unit fees, and certainly not a series of upcharges to get the features you actually want. One fee. But honestly, the money isn't even the real point. The point is what you keep. With software, the systems belong to you. The reserve projections, the financial history, the vendor records, the automations, they stay no matter who's on the board or what property manager rotates in and out. So the decision was never really software versus management company. It's a simpler question than that. Does your community want to be a victim of your operations, or do they want to own them? So here's what I want you to walk away with. These 3 things. 1, automation isn't a luxury. It's what keeps good volunteers from quitting. If your software is adding to the busy work instead of removing it, it's the wrong software. 2, your reserve fund is either a plan or a slow motion crisis. And the only difference between the 2 is whether you can see the number. Find out where you land on the percent fundage scale before something breaks, not after. And 3, self-management only works when the knowledge belongs to the community, not to the individuals. Build systems that survive turnover because turnover is guaranteed. In the management company, it was never the fix you hoped it was. It was a way to avoid building a system in the first place. Build the systems and you don't need to change the property manager every 2 to 3 years hoping that a new one fixes everything. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop the single biggest time drain on your board in the comments. Is it dues chasing, vendor follow-up, meeting prep, whatever it is? We build our content straight off of what boards are actually struggling with, so your answer literally shapes what's next. If you want to go deeper into the reserve study, reach out to me. I'll drop a link in the description. And if this was useful, please subscribe, like this video. We publish videos nearly every week for self-managed communities. Thank you. See you in the next video.